Hello, I'm BrigantiaBlackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Friday, December 13th, 2024. It is the 23rd of Sagittarius, and today is the day of beauty. In our astrology, the sun is in Sagittarius, mutable fire, representing adventure. The moon is in second quarter Taurus, fixed earth, which is to pursue values. Then at 6:39 a.m. Central Time, it does go void, of course, and we have to wait until 11:22 a.m. Central Time for it to move into second quarter Gemini, mutable air, which represents communication. So there will be a slight shift that we will be feeling. Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, mutable fire, representing travel disruptions. Venus is in Aquarius, fixed air, which represents the intellectual. Mars is retrograding in Leo, fixed fire, which is tempered action. Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini, mutable air, which is to broaden perspective. Saturn is in Pisces, mutable water, which represents nostalgia. Uranus is retrograding in Taurus, fixed earth, representing rebellion. Neptune is in Pisces, mutable water, which represents intuition. And Pluto is in Aquarius, fixed air, which represents reformation. Now for the retrograde reminders, very briefly. For Mercury, rethink communication patterns. For Mars, reconsider what you really want. For Jupiter, reconnect with your true path. For Uranus, reconsider how you rebel. And for Chiron, restore the heroic spirit. Now for our moon, we are in the waxing gibbous stage, so it's rooting into your plans, refining where needed, continuing to work in harmony with the intentions you set during the new moon. And for the Gemini moon theme, we are going into communication and networking. So from endurance and practicality, now we are talking, now we are trying to make connections that will be useful to us in fulfilling our goals. So we have Venus in Aquarius today, which tends to think its feelings rather than feel its feelings. And this creates, I know, a little bit of a distance. It represents needing a buffer zone from the emotions. And this state of semi-detachment is further encouraged by that Gemini moon. While the Gemini moon is wanting to connect, there's something that's just a smidgen impersonal about it. We don't want all of those messy feelings all over the place. So this would be an indication that, this is the most conducive atmosphere to have a complete meltdown or to, really act out in some kind of melodramatic emotional way, because this isn't the environment in which that would be receptive. And also, we're adults here. We need to think of our dignity as well. So also be wary of the Mercury retrograde. This isn't the best time to be rash with your words, and especially if you tend to be a bit harsher when you're in thinking mode than feeling mode, definitely be aware of that. I know personally with my personality type, that's something I need to be wary of in general, but especially in this kind of energetic atmosphere, definitely have those that guard up, because you don't want to be unduly harsh when it isn't really called for, and you don't necessarily want to verbally go for the jugular, so to speak, when that isn't what's called for in the situation. So, just something to bear in mind there, dears. Then for today's tarot, we have the Nine of Good Cheer. So, nines think foundation, leadership, idealism, and completeness. The suit of good cheer, think the suit of cups and the water element. And the key words for this card are rewards, success, and abundance. So this is all about being a little bit more mission focused, perhaps enthusiastically, but definitely continuing to work towards it. Enlist others if you are needing assistance and that, but keep on going towards goals. And this is a very opportune card to come up because we're just a couple days away from the next full moon. So anything that you are needing to feed into that, this is not the time to relax. This is the time to double down on your efforts and do everything that is within your power to bring those intentions into full manifestation. Then today's Celtic triad, three things that one who is wise attains: prosperity, dignity, and joy. Now, the prosperity, I feel like that's fairly obvious about why you would attain prosperity after attaining wisdom, because wisdom is all about making good decisions, and that does include financial decisions. Therefore, prosperity becomes more likely if you are continuing to act prudently, to make the most of opportunities that come your way, and of course, seeking counsel in areas that perhaps you don't have the most abundant knowledge, or if you have a shortfall of experience. And I don't know if my microphone picked up the "wah" a moment ago, but apparently some of the cats are having some diplomatic difficulties. So hopefully they're done with their little tussle, but we'll have to see. Next up is dignity. The reason why you would attain dignity after attaining wisdom is because wisdom is not going to be acting any which way, regardless of how those actions would reflect upon their character. It is through our actions that people are able to actually get a pretty good idea of what our character actually consists of. It's the difference between the reputation and the image we want to project versus who and what we actually are. And actions are extremely revealing with that. And the wise person, they're going to be acting in a much more measured way. When they're acting with enthusiasm, it's not forgetting who they are, it's not acting inappropriately. So you can see how dignity is going to be a natural byproduct. And then finally, joy. And joy isn't about a perpetual good mood. I think it is really stemming from a greater appreciation of the good that happens in life, as well as understanding the purpose that our adversity can actually fulfill for us. And it is the wise person who can accept both these highs and these lows and everything in between of life. And then they can ultimately find a way to prioritize that attention towards all the good things, and that creates the joy. And it's more so as a state of continuous appreciation rather than, oh, I'm happy and I'm feeling zany and really great today. That's not really what's being referred to here. So just a few things to bear in mind. Then today's magical correspondences, their theme is hope. The color is blue. The plant is the blue spruce. The animal is the heron, and the crystal is the blue lace agate. So, in matters of hope, are you bringing hope to yourselves, and do you actually bring hope to other people? It's very easy to be a Debbie Downer. It's very easy to point out every possible difficulty with a proposed solution. These are all easy things, and the internet content is absolutely filled with people who are more than happy to tell you about all of the things that could potentially go wrong, from your method of loading the dishwasher to matters of international diplomacy. They're very happy to tell you about all of the potential pitfalls that they see, and they expect your appreciation and sometimes your financial support for doing that. Where they really drop the ball is in any sense of offering a solution, of saying, okay, this solution, there is this potential obstacle in the road, and here's some strategies to help deal with that. And also, they don't promote the idea that problems are solved in pieces, and sometimes you just need to start walking down the road of improving the situation, and you deal with what comes as it comes along. A lot of people choose not to do that. So the question is, what will you choose to do? Because you can go along with that crowd, it's easy enough to do. Or you could choose, what, I'm going to do a different direction. This isn't about naivete, this isn't about taking on a Pollyanna kind of attitude towards the world, but it is about taking practical steps to better the situation. You do have that within your power, however modest your own capabilities are. It all counts for something. And the more people you have who are like, you know what, okay, all of these things can go wrong, but I'm going to try to do something good today. I'm going to try to keep in mind the overall goal, and I'm just going to take a step today. And then tomorrow I'll take a step after that. All of these things coming from many people, no matter how modest their lives, no matter how obscure they may be, all of this is adding into the energy of the ether. And over time, the cumulative effect of that can become quite powerful. So even though we might not see immediate results, we may not see how the energy we're putting out is working in conjunction with that of other people, but it is. And this is where faith really comes in for us of taking that leap of, okay, I can't see the end game right now. I don't know the impact that I might have, but I'm going to do this right thing because it's right, and just plodding along with that. Um, we have this capability, and it does a lot more than what we think. So there's a little food for thought for you. Anyways, time is moving along, so we better too. Today's hearthkeeping hint is all about enjoying those cozy evenings at home. I think that's one of the great gifts of the winter season, especially during Yule. And it might be one of those things. You have this nice, comfy spot you've created by the window, which a couple of cushions, a blanket, and a good book, and a cup of tea maybe with candles. That's really all you need. We're not talking about big expenses here. Maybe maybe that's your way of enjoying a nice winter evening, or maybe you gather around at the dinner table and you have a family game night, or there's a dozen other things that you might possibly do that's all very indoors. You can appreciate what's going on outside without necessarily subjecting yourself to the harsher elements of it, and just making things nice. But whatever it is that you do, do it with warmth and love, and it's the warmth and love that is going to create the cozy. You could have all the fuzzy blankets in the world. You could have the best hot cocoa bar, the world has ever seen. You could have a bazillion candles in your house, but if you are not conveying love within your soul, if you are not doing these things in a spirit of love, then it's not going to create the cozy. The things can enhance the cozy, but they cannot create it in and of themselves. That comes from us. Then for today's practice, if you are going to have a little sprig of mistletoe over a doorway to have maximizing the effect for fertility and encouraging love, add some holly berries to those mistletoe clusters, because they have a very strong association with fertility, and that just gives a little extra zhuzh to it. Then, because it's Friday, make the effort to spoil your sweetheart, and it may be that sincere, undistracted attention is all they really need from you. I think it's a big thing that when you get home from work, whoever arrives home first, if they are glad to see the person who arrives home second, if you take time out of your day before you move on to whatever chores you need to get done, or any of the business of the evening, making sure the dinner's made and everything's taken care of, if you just give them the benefit of your attention, of your time, and say, no, I'm prioritizing you. And maybe it is only for 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes of actually listening when they tell you what happened at work that day, or actually listening when they say, I had this brilliant idea and I wanted to run it by you just to see what you think. Because usually what that means is that, you're looking for a little bit of encouragement from your partner, and maybe an offering of help, but usually most just encouragement, say, that is a really cool idea. You should pursue that. It's about that connection. It's about that support. And that's what really spoiling your partner is really all about. And yes, it's nice to go out for dinner and get, all dressed up and pretty and everything else. That can be a very fun time. But I don't think we should associate monetary expenditures with what it means to actually spoil the sweetie. Then the archetype of the winter couple. What can this archetype teach us about endurance? If you decide to explore that idea, I would encourage you to think about the challenges that deal with the conditions of winter, both the physical, obvious aspects as well as the metaphorical aspects, and how a couple working together in tandem, how that might play out. Then for meditation, a suggested theme is the warmth of the heart. I think sometimes we forget about how we need to cultivate our own inner fires in order to have greater warmth in our own lives. I think too many times we can get trapped in passivity and wait for someone else to light our inner fires, or to bring us back to life, or for some kind of external force to do the work for us, when really we need to be lighting our own candles. We need to be feeding our own light. We need to be feeding our own inner fires. So that's something that I think is worth thinking about. And then if you happen to have it, you might carry or wear some alexandrite today. Then in Creative Corners, it is about decking the cars. I think this is a very cool, fun, completely unnecessary thing to do, but it always makes me smile. Some people, they have those little antlers that they secure through their windows. I've seen some people attach a huge red ball on the nose of their car. All of a sudden, all you think is, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's just a bit of fun. And of course, if you are doing it, just make sure that it's safe to be in traffic. You don't want to be causing an incident. And then, of course, if there's a seasonal parade, we just had ours last weekend. Uh, they'll doll up all the cars with Christmas lights, and they go down the main street, and it's just fun. It's colorful, it's playful, it's just fun. But more modestly, and what's probably within more of our usual power, is maybe taking a little sprig of juniper or some other kind of seasonal greenier, putting it in the interior for freshness. And that can be the little thing that you do to not leave your method of transport out of the Yuletide proceedings. Or you could just hang a bow from the rear view mirror, add a festive sticker. There's plenty of them. Just make it fun. And And the reason why I'm encouraging this not only is just because I find it personally entertaining, but because this is something that, if you have a sticker, you can stick it to your dashboard or whatever. It's just a little something that makes you smile and that just helps keep you in that spirit of the Yuletide because you have a visual reminder. And it does more than you think, these little touches to infuse the spirit. So, tossing that out there. And then for the journal prompt, when did you last reconcile with someone after a major disagreement? Now, I'm bringing this up because Yuletide is very much a time of community, a time for friends, a time for family. And with all of these things, we can find ourselves in major disputes with. So if that's our situation, and I suspect for a lot of people, there's always some kind of element in that because human beings always have tension amongst each other. But if that's something that's very present and active in your life right now, what can you do to at least do your part to diffuse the situation, to come to some kind of resolution, or to at the very least say, yeah, I mean, we are oil and water on, whatever the issue is, but I value you and I value your presence in my life more than I feel like trying to win the argument. When was the last time we did that? And it's something to think about because if we can be reconciled in our human relationships, I think there's a lot of advantages to doing so. It's too easy to make enemies. It's too easy to let the temporary issues become permanent separations. So turning the tide on that, I think that would be a very worthy thing to do, and I think it's very much in tune with the spirit of the season. So, on that note, everyone, have an absolutely magical day. I wish you bright blessings and all of the joys of the season. Have a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.